What's up, you guys? I'm really happy to be here making another video for you today. And today's video is going to be all about how much money you're going to need if you're going to move to another state. Because this is something I actually did myself 11 years ago. And I'm going to dive into how much I had when I first came here and about how much you might need if you're planning on doing this as well. So if that's something interesting for you, make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. When I moved to Miami Beach back in 2008, I brought with me roughly only about $2,000. And in retrospect, that really wasn't enough money to get me through the time that I needed to adjust and settle in here. That pretty much only paid for the first month of expenses. If you saw in one of my previous videos, my rent was really high when I first got here. It was about $1,700 a month all in. The $2,000 was pretty much eaten away just by that alone. Not to mention I still had to eat, right? Luckily, I was able to land a job within the first couple of weeks of getting here, but that job actually didn't really make me enough money to cover my expenses. I was working at the Best Western Hotel down here on 41st Street as a waiter in the restaurant in the hotel there, and I was working full time, but even then it still wasn't enough to pay the bills. I was making maybe $350 a week, something like that. It was terrible. So after only 1 month of working there, I actually got fired from that job for drinking on the job. And it wasn't just me, there was a few others of us that did, the bartender and a couple other waiters. We all actually got fired on the same day. It was kind of funny actually. I got really lucky after that because what happened is the building that I lived in, I actually applied to work at the restaurant right across the street, which is Norman's Tavern. And so the next day I applied for that job and landed that job the very next day. So I literally went no days with no job. I got fired this day, and the next day I got the new job. So I was extremely lucky to land this new job literally right across the street from where I was living. I mean, the commute was non-existent. I would take the elevator down to the lobby here in the building and cross the street, and boom, I was at work. I mean, it really doesn't get much better than that, right? Once I had that job, I was able to double my pay to roughly about $700 a week, and I really liked the job actually a lot more, especially at first. I was making cash every day, and I lived right across the street. The people I worked with were really cool. Overall, it was pretty fun, so I got lucky. My expenses at this point were roughly about $2,000 per month, and that included my rent, which was about $1,700 a month with all my utilities included with the rent, as well as my food, which is about $300 a month or so that I was spending. So back then, I was only 20 years old, and that still left me with a pretty decent amount of disposable income, at least in my opinion back then. I still had about $800 a month left over after all my expenses, and I was still able to live on the beach with this beautiful view in this awesome condo, and I was just floored that this was my life now. So that might not sound like a lot to you, but it really felt awesome for me. So now you've heard enough about my own situation, let's talk about how much you're going to need when you're going to move to another state. How much you're going to need is probably really going to vary a lot depending on which state you're going to be moving to, also what city you're going to be living in that state. So I'm going to base these figures in this video as if you're going to move to Miami Beach and you were young just like I was and you were going to do it today in 2019. Let's start with rent. Rent is typically always going to be your highest living expense no matter where you're going to live. And rent here in Miami Beach will run you anywhere between $1,100 a month to $1,300 to $1,500 per month for a studio or one bedroom apartment if you're going to be moving in all on your own. Most apartments here will charge you 3 months to move in. It's going to be the first month's rent, the last month's rent, and a security deposit equal to 1 month's rent, and that's pretty typical across the board. There are some exceptions. There are some places that will let you move in with just first month's rent and a lower security deposit if you have really good credit. And if you're like me and you get lucky and you move in with a roommate, you may be able to move in with somebody for even less. So if you're young and you're just starting out and you don't mind having a roommate, I highly recommend trying to go that approach first because that's going to save you a ton of money up front and you won't have to come up with those 3 months in advance. But assuming you're going to move here all alone and you want to get your own place, you're going to need those 3 months rent in advance. Your electric bill for a place like that will probably be running you anywhere between $70 and $90 a month depending on the time of year and how much you use your air conditioning. It is South Florida, so it's pretty hot most of the year. Food will be your next expense. For me, it was about $200 to $300 a month when I first moved here. It really depends on how much you eat out. I recommend not doing that a lot when you're first getting started. Obviously, you're going to save more money if you can cook a little bit, or at least buy some frozen dishes that you can just put in the microwave from the frozen section at the store. That's going to still cost you way less than if you went out every single day. Your car is obviously going to be another expense, and that will also widely vary depending on the type of car that you drive. But assuming that you're young, your car insurance is probably going to be around $100 a month, and then you're going to spend another $150 a month or so on gas. And that's not including a car payment. That's assuming you're driving some piece of crap car that's already paid off. A big tip here also is if you're planning on moving to Miami Beach or someplace like it, we have the boardwalk here, which is completely free, and this boardwalk spans all the way from North Beach to South Beach now. We also have a free trolley system, so you can really get anywhere in the city for free. The buses are also pretty cheap as well. It's like $2.25 for a one-way fare, and you can ride your bicycle pretty much anywhere, or an electric skateboard, electric scooter these days. Pretty much anything will get you around the entire city on a really low budget, and you don't even really need a car here. So I highly recommend you take that into consideration depending on where you're going to be moving. Find out if the area is car dependent, or if maybe you can get away without having a car. Because the thing is this, if you can get away without having a car, that's one less expense you're going to have, and your life is going to be that much easier, and it's better for the planet. So one thing we definitely can't forget on the list here is internet, or cable and internet. I personally have cable and internet, but you might just opt to have internet. And if you only have internet, that's probably going to cost you about $90 a month here for a decently fast plan, and anywhere between $120 and $150 per month if you want the cable and internet package. And internet is basically essential these days. You know, everybody needs it, so you might as well throw that in your budget. Your total living expenses each month following this budget is going to be about $2,030 per month. So if you're going to be renting your own place, like I mentioned before, you're going to need at least $3,900 for a down payment on the place for that first, last, and security. And that's going to be your biggest expense. Then I would recommend having at least another $2,000 a month in cash just in case of an emergency or any other kind of expense that might come up that you didn't anticipate, just so you're ready and you don't have to like put it on a credit card and pay crazy high interest or anything crazy like that. Obviously, I was able to do this myself moving to Miami Beach with a lot less money. I recommend you have at least $6,000 saved up if you're going to be moving to a new state, because that should cover most cities. It does cover it even here in Miami Beach. If you're going to be moving somewhere even more expensive like LA or San Francisco or New York, that number is going to be a lot higher. But fortunately, if you're going to move somewhere that's less expensive, that's not in like a coastal city, somewhere inland in the US, that number might be even considerably lower, probably even around $4,000 per month. Now obviously I did this on only $2,000 a month, but my situation was this. I was willing to work really hard, I was extremely motivated, and I was desperate to change my life, and I was willing to take any job that came up. So I was just ready to go, I was gung-ho, and I did whatever it took to do it. So if you feel like you have that kind of fight inside of you, then you can probably do it on less also. But for everybody who's like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm a little bit scared to do it, blah, 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 if that's you, you're gonna need the extra money, okay? By the way, in case you're new here, my name is Michael Bordenero. Welcome to my channel, and I make videos about financial education. I also make videos about the beach lifestyle. I make videos about having the best quality of life that you possibly can. Pretty much most of my videos fall under those categories. So if you've seen any of my other videos before, you might see that I'm kind of bouncing all over the place with the background here. I decided to put this background together today because this is like the first background that you've actually seen in any of my videos that kind of represents me. I play guitar, as you can tell. This is my dual rectifier. That's one of my guitars there. And I just decided to make the video next to this thing because it makes me feel strong, because this thing is really strong. And it's also just a little bit of who I am, you know, it's like a piece of me. So that way you guys get a little bit of an insight into who I am as a person, not just a YouTuber. Let me know what you think about this new background down in the comments. Let me know if there's any of the other backgrounds that you liked before in the past, like the bedroom, or me being outside somewhere by the beach. And it is kind of hard to shoot at the beach here sometimes because the wind is just insane. Like right now, the wind is blowing like 20, 25 miles an hour. It's impossible to make a video out there. But I try to make some videos outside when I can because obviously it's beautiful and it showcases this beautiful place I live here in Miami Beach. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you did enjoy it, be sure to check out these two videos right here because they're all about changing your life. And if you're looking to make some positive changes in your life, I highly recommend them because you'll find some valuable information there as well. And I will see you guys in the next video.